The diplomatic chambers of the Alar Citadel were a grotesque blend of opulence and paranoia, gleaming crystal walls surrounded by shimmering containment fields, while armed drones hovered in eerie silence. Peace talks, they called it. A ceasefire summit after 6 planetary invasions, 9 trillion lives lost, and 1 shattered galactic order. But humans hadn't been invited. Not really. Until now. The massive arched entrance hissed open. Every eye turned. The Varnak delegate, a 12-foot obsidian-scaled colossus, flexed a row of venomous tendrils. His slit pupils narrowed as the 2 figures stepped in. Ambassador Alira Miles walked first, regal, calm, unreadable. Behind her walked the reason this meeting was about to become legend. The human bodyguard. He wore no armor. No insignia. Just matte black fatigues, a single curved scar above his left brow, and the kind of posture that made apex predators reconsider lunging. Varnak General ISSKL sneered. You insult this gathering, Alira? Bringing a Deathworlder here? Is that your play? Alira didn't flinch. He's not here to speak. He's here to observe. The general slammed a clawed fist on the obsidian table. We do not tolerate weapons in diplomacy. The bodyguard stepped forward slowly. Deliberately. His boots echoed through the chamber like war drums. I'm not a weapon, he said, voice low, guttural, almost amused. I'm the reminder of what happens when diplomacy fails. The chamber shifted. Even the energy fields hummed uneasily. Alira placed a data crystal on the table. Here are the proposed reparations. Signed by the Terran Accord. If Varnak accepts, this ends. If not, she nodded toward her silent companion. We enter Phase 2. The Varnak laughed, high and shrieking like twisting metal. Phase 2? ISSKL growled. You think this one human can stop us? Alira didn't blink. He's not here to stop you. The general leaned forward. Then what? The bodyguard finally looked up. To end you, he said. A second passed. Then another. Someone, perhaps the Zari translator, laughed nervously. Others followed. But ISSKL wasn't laughing. Because he saw it. Not the man. The eyes. Those weren't diplomats' eyes. Those were warforged, hell-burned eyes. Eyes that had watched worlds crack open. And smiled. Tell us your name, human, ISSKL demanded, trying to regain command of the room. The man's mouth curved into a dry smile. Garan, he said. Sergeant Major Garan Cade. Terran Defense Corps. Operation Eclipse. You might have heard of it. Silence. Of course they'd heard of Eclipse. It was the mission that took back the lost colonies from the Zarnhive, an enemy that even the Galactic Council had declared uncontainable. The mission that allegedly ended with no survivors, except one. The doors sealed behind them with a magnetic hiss. Garan stood still. Silent. Breathing like a loaded rifle. Then came the flicker. Tiny, almost imperceptible, a shimmer of light distortion near the Zari delegate. Garen's fingers twitched. Without warning, he moved. Faster than sound. In less than a second, Garan was at the Zari's side, left hand ripping the assassin's cloaking harness from thin air, right elbow caving in its larynx with surgical brutality. A scream. Panic. Guards rose, drew weapons. Stand down! Alira roared. He is protecting this summit! Garan released the unconscious assassin. He stared at the rest. Try me, he said. None did. The diplomat of the Relcon, a feathered elder known for neutrality, leaned forward. Was that necessary? Garan wiped the blood off his sleeve. Necessary would have been what I did on Agar Prime when we found 20 cloaked Zarn soldiers playing corpse. This was polite. The room had changed. Something primal had shifted. The bodyguard wasn't a bodyguard. He was the consequence. The insurance policy against arrogance. Alira spoke calmly now. We offered peace. We still do. But Terra doesn't beg. You brought wars to our skies. You harvested our moons. You called us savages. Her voice hardened. We buried empires for less. The Varnak general stood. His advisors whispered frantically behind him. Every species present suddenly realized that the smallest person in the room had the largest shadow. ISSKL growled. You threaten us on sacred diplomatic grounds. You dare! Garan raised a hand. Try it, he said. Try drawing first. Give me an excuse. Make it a war again. I haven't bled in days. The general's mandibles clicked. Silence fell. And then the Relkon diplomat finally broke the tension with a hoarse whisper. I suggest we consider the Terran terms. The summit adjourned in tense silence. No one dared turn their back to the human as they left. Garan stood alone for a moment longer, watching the shadows shift. Elira approached, quiet. You didn't have to drop the name Eclipse. He shrugged. They needed a ghost. I gave them one. Do you think it worked? Garan finally looked at her. It already did. She exhaled. Then what happens next? The corner of his lip twitched. They go home. They tell their people. And nobody ever forgets the day a diplomat brought a bodyguard, and peace happened in under 3 minutes. He stepped into the light. The silence before the strike. The Peace Hall on Vorex Prime was a palace of pretense, glimmering arches of synth glass, polished obsidian floors, and banners from every race in the Accord hanging like trophies over a predator's den. Cameras floated silently, recording the moment for history. But history didn't know what was coming. Ambassador Sarah Lorne of Earth walked at the center of the room, flanked by towering guards from other species, some watching with amusement, others with thinly veiled contempt. The council waited on a raised platform ahead, a circle of judgment cloaked in gold, breathing smugness. Beside her moved one man. Unarmored. Expressionless. Quiet. Commander Jackson Vance. Humanity's sharpest blade. Unannounced. Unwelcomed. Undeniable. The Yeskari delegate hissed at the sight of him. Ambassador, armed personnel are not permitted in the chamber. He's not armed, Sarah replied evenly. And he's not personnel. He's my bodyguard. You insult this gathering, snapped General Vosk of the Karnathi Legion, a brute of bone-plated muscle. Do you fear peace so much that you bring a killer? Sarah didn't flinch. No. I fear betrayal more than bullets. The air thickened. She stopped at the base of the dais, voice steady. I speak on behalf of Earth. We came here today not as conquerors, but as equals. The Accord claims to value unity. Then prove it. Let us sit among you, without tribute, without chains. The silence that followed wasn't hesitation, it was anticipation. A soft chime echoed. Then the floor beneath Sarah shimmered. Vance's hand shot out, and yanked her back just as the trap activated. A containment field crackled into existence where she'd stood, ion bars spiraling up like claws, energy pulsing. Gasps erupted. Cameras twitched. But the council didn't speak. The trap hadn't been an accident. A thin, cruel voice echoed from the dais. Archspeaker Thal, reptilian and cold-blooded, leaned forward. You presume far too much, Ambassador. Humanity has defied orders. Grown without permission. Refused mandatory technology exchanges. The Accord does not tolerate disorder. Sarah's voice broke for the first time. You planned this. Thal smiled. We anticipated it. Earth is too volatile. Too dangerous. And your bodyguard, he is the proof. That's when the doors locked with a boom. Sentries dropped pretense and revealed weapons, plasma spears, neural nets, suppression drones. One activated a collar device meant to bind the ambassador's vocal cords. Another turned toward Vance. Then the air changed. Vance didn't reach for a weapon. He became one. With a sound like breaking gravity, he moved. Faster than optics. The closest guard was down before his weapon cleared the holster. A second tried to aim. Vance used his corpse as a shield, then flipped it into a drone's path. Someone screamed. A general shouted, Neutralize the Deathworlder! 3 drones fired together. Vance moved between the beams. He didn't blink. didn't breathe heavy. His face was stone. His hands were precise. One strike disabled a hover mech. The next dropped a veteran soldier with a fractured exospine. A third opponent, a 10-foot predator from Garn, rushed him with a battle cry. Vance stepped into the charge, slammed an elbow into the creature's throat, and shattered it with a knee to the chest. The room erupted. Chaos thundered across the hall as spectators scrambled. The dais attempted to seal itself in a magnetic shield. Vance tapped a button on his gauntlet. An override pulse cracked the barrier like thin glass. Sarah, pressed against the wall, shouted, "Vance! Stop! Don't kill them all!" He paused mid-swing. Only then did his pupils dilate. He breathed. Slowly. A flicker of restraint returned. "Copy," he said. Instead of finishing the next target, he incapacitated them. Limb breaks, shock hits, nerve stuns. Mercy, honed like a scalpel. Above them, the ceiling split open. The UNSS Fireborn uncloaked. Earth's dreadnought-class deterrent ship hovered above the hall, its shadow blotting out the sun. Entire civilizations had surrendered at the mere rumor of that silhouette. A loudspeaker crackled. "This is Earth Fleet Command. Accord Assembly is now under review for breach of interstellar conventions. Stand down. Immediate compliance will ensure survival." The Accord didn't move. They froze. Because standing in the middle of it all, surrounded by 20 unconscious guards and a council of cowards, was one unarmored human with nothing but breath and fury. Vance's voice broke the tension. "Ambassador," he said, "the floor's yours." Sarah straightened her dress, stepped over a broken plasma rod, and addressed the half-shocked, half-terrified remains of the Accord Council. "Let this be clear," she said, voice amplified now by the chamber's own systems. "We extended peace. You responded with betrayal. The galaxy watches. Remember this moment, because Earth will not kneel. Not today. Not ever." Cliffhanger ending. Thal crawled back into the shadows, teeth bared. This was just one hall. We have fleets, armies, alliances." Vance turned to him and whispered one sentence. 3 minutes, Thal? That's all I need." The judgment of fire. The room shook as the last of the orbital disruptors fell silent. Smoke curled through the shattered skylight of the Peace Hall. Blood, ash, and silence hung in the air like judgment. Ambassador Kale of the Yeskari clung to the edge of the collapsed dais, his three-jointed hands trembling. His once flowing diplomatic robes were scorched, his voice a whisper. What is he?" The War Council, once smug in their righteousness, lay broken in a semicircle of smoldering ruin. Their security mechs, engineered over decades to control 10,000 species, were nothing but twisted steel and shattered pride. Vance stood at the heart of it. Unburnt. Unyielding. Still. The black combat mesh that clung to him shimmered with faint red veins of kinetic bleed-off. His visor slid open. His face was calm, not rage, not triumph, just calculation. He held no weapon now, he was the weapon. His voice, low and level, broke the silence. "You called for strength." Humanity answered. The diplomats stared in terror. One of them, General Vosk, managed to stagger upright. You executed an act of war. This is a diplomatic atrocity." "No," Vance replied, stepping over the wreckage of an elite war droid. "This was mercy. If I had declared war, you'd be dust already." A light flickered on the side of his neck, an implant feeding him data in real time. Orbital feeds. Psychological readouts. Tactical probabilities. All green. He turned to Kale. "You summoned us under the pretense of negotiation. Instead, you planned to enslave our ambassador. You activated kill drones before she spoke. That was your declaration." Kale coughed, black blood staining his fangs. "You can't wipe out the Accord. We are the law." Vance crouched beside him. "No. You were a cartel masquerading as law. Humanity never joined your Accord. You demanded tribute. You got teeth instead." A silence followed, raw, pure, and final. Above them, a shadow eclipsed the fractured dome. The UNSS Fireborn, Earth's dreadnought, decloaked with a hum of antimatter shielding. The ship bore no flags, only a single, blazing sigil, a phoenix over fractured chains. Vance tapped his comms. Alpha priority. Broadcast this room to all Accord-linked systems. Kale gasped. You wouldn't. I would. He stepped back into the center of the hall as hidden cameras blinked to life. His posture straightened. His words were not for Kale now, they were for the stars. To all member worlds of the Accord, this is Commander Jackson Vance, Earth's Special Deterrence Division. I speak not as a conqueror, but as a consequence. He paused, gaze steady, voice like war drums wrapped in velvet. You attempted to enslave us. You studied our weaknesses. You underestimated our silence. And now you've woken a death world. He gestured to the fallen elites. This is not revenge. This is recalibration. Henceforth, humanity stands independent of your chains. If you come for us again, you will find the shadows full. He ended the transmission with a blink. The galaxy had heard. The diplomat, Ambassador Sarah Lorne, finally stepped forward. Her expression was unreadable, caught between horror and pride. You could have just disabled the system. You didn't need to kill them all. Vance exhaled. They already made their decision when they locked that door. I just ensured we walked out of it. A rumble echoed in the distance, Accord fleets scrambling, fleeing, realigning. Sarah spoke again, quietly. Do you think the galaxy will fear us now? Vance turned to her, voice quieter but not softer. They won't just fear us. They'll respect us. Finally. Suddenly his earpiece chimed, an incoming encrypted call. Vance accepted it without hesitation. Command, this is Vance. A familiar voice responded. General Elias Grant, Earth's Supreme War Coordinator. Calm and cold. Confirmed clean sweep? Yes. No survivors, no hostiles. Message transmitted system-wide. A pause. Then, the Accord fleets are scrambling. Half are retreating. Half are considering retaliation. Orders? Vance glanced at the ruins of the Peace Hall. At the charred flag of the Accord. Then he answered. Let them consider. If they send anything, we'll send Vance Protocol again. But for now, let them stew. Copy that. Return to orbit for extraction. Earth thanks you. The calm cut. Sarah watched him holster his now depleted kinetic cuffs. Vance, will there ever be peace? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked at the horizon, the rising twin suns of Delta Varon, casting long shadows across the battlefield. Maybe, he said. But it won't come from treaties. It'll come when they stop seeing humans as prey. She nodded slowly. And if they never do? Vance's eyes hardened. Then we stay predators. Final scene. 3 hours later, the galaxy stood still. Accord transmission hubs buzzed with confusion. Neutral species debated what they'd seen. Empires paused campaigns. Pirate fleets fell eerily silent. And far above the ruins of the Peace Hall, the Fireborn hovered like judgment itself. In a quiet chamber aboard the ship, Vance removed his armor. Scars ran down his spine, old ones, from battles no one remembered. He stared into the mirror and whispered, as if to himself. 3 minutes. That's all it took. But we earned those 3 minutes, through centuries of being underestimated. He tapped the scar under his eye. And now they'll never forget.